hours, 52 minutes before the polls open in the U.S. for them to elect their 47th president.
I was saying something before you...
Yes.
So let me just take 10 more seconds.
Okay.
And then I'll give it to my
So that I can also introduce the other panelists as well.
The Americans vote with their pocketbooks. They don't vote for foreign policy. They don't vote for any other issue except was their lives better economically from the last president to this president.
Okay.
So the Democrats haven't done a great job in the economy. And I think inflation has gone up in the United States. I believe it has. And what's going to happen is that when Trump was in charge, the economy grew and people had money in their pockets. So when they go to the ballot box, they're not going to think specifically, the overwhelming majority, about what's happening in Israel, Palestine, or what's happening in Ukraine. They're going to think of jobs, jobs, jobs.
All right. Ahmed Hashi, governance and policy expert, one of our panelists this morning. Allow me to introduce the new members of the panel. Joe Mutambu, former MP Mwingi Central, karibu sana. You missed a huge chunk of our conversation this morning, but I'll give you an opportunity to say something. Also, Gigi Kagombe, MP Gatundu South, karibu sana, good morning. So let's start with you, Bwana Mutambu. We were just looking at what's at stake for Kenya. Because if you look at the dailies in the region, everyone is asking, what's at stake for Uganda in these elections? What's at stake for Tanzania? The question is also the same here. What is at stake for Kenya with these elections in the US?
Apologies for coming late. I live in a different world, and our roads sometimes they are not fair. The American election versus or what we stand to gain as a country. Save of the bilateral arrangements, we need to ask ourselves, what is it that we do with Americans as Kenyans? Or what is it that Americans do with Kenya? And who stand to benefit more among the two countries? And in my opinion, Americans benefit more from Kenya because we offer them some facilities to do their things, and that's why they want to settle in Kenya when it comes to matters of security. And we also benefit from their intelligence. And my opinion is that either Kamala or Trump for Kenya is all the same because their interest is one, and they will maintain that. They'll maintain their interest first, and we benefit from their interest. In terms of trade, we need to ask ourselves, what is it we trade with the Americans? And by far-reaching, if Kamala wins, what will he do with the Middle East? Or if Trump wins, what will he do with the ongoing conflict in the Middle East? So those are the questions we're asking ourselves. And if the problem in the Middle East is solved, is it good for Kenya? And the answer is yes, because most of goods we get from Ukraine. And when the Ukraine is fighting, what do we stand to benefit as Kenya? So there are some other spiral effects apart from what you get directly from America. So the win of each of the candidate will of course have some impact into Kenyan economy. And that's what is our interest. But our interest is not, we are not biased to any. We can only be biased to what will happen to our country if either of the candidate wins.
Bwana Kagombe, if you look at the cartoon on the Daily Nation today, it has Africa portrayed as a poor guy, just looking at the US election. It's on page 15 of the Daily Nation. But there's a hand stretched out with a begging bowl. And I was saying that just how sad that depiction is in a caricature this morning, that whichever way it goes, the only relationship we have with the US is that of what they can give us directly. Do you agree with that depiction? And do you think that can change at this time?
Well, I think it shouldn't be that way, but the reality is that we are a lot dependent on so many other countries. As we're having a conversation here, behind the scenes, we're saying we have a lot of reliance. We import a lot of grains as Africa. I mean, we have, and I've seen it before here, that we have become